Should you get the KOVOL Sprint 120 watt USB-C charger for your desk? Stay tuned as we find out. Welcome back. At TechAutos, we do reviews of the latest tech gadgets and automotive products. If you're new to our channel, consider subscribing. Today we're taking a look at the KOVOL Sprint 120 watt USB-C desktop charger. This has 4 USB ports, 2 Type-C and 2 Type-A. KOVOL provided us the charger for review but had no opportunity to review the contents of this video in advance. KOVOL actually sells 2 desktop USB-C chargers with the same port configuration, one with a 65 watt peak output, and the one we're looking at today with a 120 watt output. See the description below for Amazon links for both of them. So let's get started. The box is fairly small. On the front it says KOVOL Charging Mate and mentions gallium nitride technology. On the side we see the KOVOL name. On the other side we see their URL. On the rear we see the model number KVPC001, the peak output of 120 watts, and some contact info for KOVOL. We'll slice the tape at the top to open the box. First up is a power cable with a 2-pin ungrounded US plug on one end and a standard C7 plug on the other. You can swap this out if you need a different country's power plug. Next we have the charger itself. Here's a user guide. And a thank you card with contact info on the back. Taking a look at the user guide, we have package contents and some instructions. Here are the specs. The table says the 2 USB-C ports can each do 5, 9, 15, or 20 volts for a peak of 100 watts. The 2 USB-A ports, which are listed as QC, can deliver 5, 9, or 12 volts for a peak of 18 watts to devices that support Qualcomm Quick Charge. The total output across all ports is 120 watts. There's a 12-month warranty, which extends to 24 months if you register online. Now onto the charger itself. It's in a plastic sleeve. On the front we see the 4 USB ports arranged in a square. The USB-A ports are labeled QC and the USB-C ports are labeled PD with KOVOL written at the bottom right. There's a matte black finish all around with a glossy ring at the front. The body attracts some fingerprints but it's not too bad. Moving to the rear we have the C7 power jack, and around it the same specs are listed as in the user guide. Overall, it's a fairly compact unit, but it's optimized for use as a desktop charger in a few ways. One, it seems to deliberately be heavier than most mobile gallium nitride chargers, tipping the scales at 326 grams against the 207 grams we measured for the Chargic, which is a similar 4-port mobile PD charger. That helps the KOVOL slide around less on a desktop surface. Second, having the power plug be a C7 jack that connects to a cable is much better for this use case than having an integrated power plug, as on the Chargic, where the charger directly hangs off of the wall outlet. Third, the square profile means the KOVOL charger won't topple over, as can happen in a vertically oriented charger on a desk. Now let's plug it in. We attach the power cable into the back, and the LEDs at the bottom light up. Now, the manual doesn't specify the charger's output levels with different combinations of ports plugged in, but some of KOVOL's marketing, like their Amazon page, does. So, with one device plugged into the USB-C port, we're supposed to get up to 100 watts. With 2 devices plugged into the 2 USB-C ports, each of them is supposed to get up to 60 watts. Here, KOVOL highlights the use case of being able to charge 2 laptops at 60 watts each simultaneously. With 2 devices plugged into the 2 USB-A ports, each is supposed to deliver 18 watts. One USB-C plus one USB-A device is supposed to give us 100 watts in the C port and 18 watts in the A port. Meanwhile, one USB-C plus 2 USB-A devices is supposed to give us 65 watts in the C port and 18 watts in each of the A ports. Two USB-C plus one USB-A device gives us 45 watts in each of the C ports and 18 watts in the A port. Finally, plugging devices into all 4 ports, we're promised 18 watts in each of the A ports and either a 65-20 watt split between the C ports or a 45-45 watt split. So let's test it out. First, we plug our QA Witturn U2 USB analyzer into the top USB-C port. The charger advertises the 5, 9, 15, and 20 volt profiles promised in the user guide, but we also see the 12 volt profile, which is a pleasant surprise. We also see support for PPS from 3 to 11 volts, which is useful for the 25 or 45 watt charging rates on certain Samsung phones, but KOVOL informed us that retail units will not have this. Next, we plug the analyzer into the bottom USB-C port and see the same results. Plugging the analyzer into the top USB-A port shows a pretty full-fledged USB-A port. We see support for USB battery charging 1.2 at up to 7.5 watts, Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0 support at 5, 9, or 12 volts, and other manufacturer-specific protocols for Apple, Samsung, MediaTek, and others. Same results for the bottom USB-A port. Next, we plugged a 15-inch Microsoft Surface Book 2 into one of the USB-C ports. This can pull around 95 watts peak, 20 volts at up to 4.7 amps. We were able to draw around 87 watts from the KOVOL charger. This is a few watts below the Surface Book's max because we got around 19.4 volts instead of 20 volts from the charger. KOVOL told us this is expected behavior from their charger, but it doesn't make too much of a difference. With the Surface still connected, we attached a Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus phone to the second USB-C port. After renegotiating, the Surface drops to around 55 watts, which is close to the promised 60 watts from the 60-60 watt split. If we then add a third device via USB-A, the Surface gets a bit over 40 watts, again close to the promised 45 watts. Overall, the KOVOL Sprint 120 is a solid entry in the desktop multi-port USB-C charger space. The lack of PPS means you might want to look elsewhere if support for 25 or 45 watt Samsung phone charging is a must-have, but besides that, the KOVOL charger is powerful enough for the most power-hungry 100 watt USB-C devices like laptops, and can charge multiple devices simultaneously at a respectable rate. The power distribution split is also great if you have multiple high-powered devices like laptops. You get at least 45 watts out of each of the 2 USB-C ports in almost all conditions. To check out the KOVOL charger on Amazon, see the link in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and post any comments or questions below.